Providing an exceptional experience for those who we love the most. How do you consistently provide such an experience across a network of more than 800 locations?
Senior living is the only category where the customers live with the brand 24/7. And I would challenge anyone to push back on that one.
Caring for more than 100,000 senior citizens on this episode of the CX Leader Podcast.
The CX Leader Podcast with Steve Walker is produced by Walker, an experience management firm that helps our clients gain a competitive advantage by delivering an exceptional experience for their customers. You can find out more at walkerinfo.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Walker, the host of the CX Leader Podcast, and thank you for listening. On the CX Leader Podcast, we explore the topics and themes to help leaders like you leverage all the benefits of your customer experience and help your customers and prospects want to do more business with you. Today, we continue our users series where we include not only the practitioner from the CX side, but also one of their internal stakeholders. And we get really good case studies about how professionals can drive positive change in their business. I can't think of any industry that might be more important or personal than the folks that take care of our senior citizens and loved ones in facilities dedicated to their care. These facilities are businesses in the sense that they have a service to provide to customers, but with something as important as the care of seniors, the customer experience goes way beyond the resident and can impact the family and the community. Today, I'm very pleased to have with us Jonathan Ruchman, Senior Director of Customer Experience at Brookdale Senior Living, a leading operator of senior living communities with 844 locations. And then also joining us is David Pruett, the Executive Director of the Robin Run Village Brookdale community here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Jonathan joins us from Nashville. David's here on the west side of Indy. And gentlemen, welcome to the CX Leader Podcast.
Hello there.
Thank you.
I really am pleased that we're able to do this, and you guys have such a great business. Jonathan, if you wouldn't mind starting and just tell us a little bit more about Brookdale, give us a concept of the scope and scale of your operation, and tell us a little bit more about the facts and figures related to Brookdale.
Sure thing. First, I'd like to thank you for having us, Steve. It really is an honor to be invited. Senior living is not really a category that you hear much about at traditional marketing or CX forums, but I love talking about it because there's so many myths and these negative stigmas out there about older adults and senior living. So any opportunity that I get to debunk those, I'm going to grab them. So Brookdale Senior Living is the largest senior living provider in the United States. We have over 800 communities in 45 states and over 60,000 associates. And Brookdale offers what we call the full continuum of care. That means independent living, assisted living, memory care, hospice, as well as skilled nursing and home health. And really, at the end of the day, our mission is to enrich the lives of those we serve. So, Steve, we're focused on what we call resident engagement, and that does not mean attending a noodle ball class. What it really means is giving our residents the opportunity to live their lives however they want to live it, really to learn and experience new things in a supportive, loving environment. So, for example, we created the Celebrate Aging Film Festival where residents can make and submit a short form film on an iPad. It's really about engagement. Steve, I started Brookdale in 2014, and my career focused on brand and customer experience. So I didn't have any healthcare experience or senior living experience before joining here. And during the interview process, they asked me, how did I plan on learning this business? And I just said that my career, I've always believed that, people who hold the keys to the brand should get as close to their customers as they possibly can. So that being said, if I'm given a job, I'd want to move in. And yeah, I got a funny look when I said that, but yes, I really wanted to experience what it's like living in a retirement community as a 47-year-old back then. And I did. So 2 weeks into my new job, I stayed at one of our large communities for 1 week, and I didn't leave the building. And, by the end of it, I had 100 grandmas and grandpas who didn't want me to leave. It was an amazing experience, and I really learned a lot. So when you're asking about kind of numbers and stuff here, my biggest learnings about living in that community is that senior living is the only category where the customers live with the brand 24/7. And I would challenge anyone to push back on that one. The second thing is that the brand customer relationship is closer than any other category I've been involved with. So when I would talk to associates about what they do for the residents, tears came to their eyes. And then I would talk to residents about what their life is like here, and happy tears came to their eyes. In our business, when we lose a customer, most of the time it's because, unfortunately, they pass away. The third learning is that it's really three industries rolled into one. It's healthcare, hospitality, and real estate. And it's just, lastly, a very complex category with a complex journey, because residents and families enter this journey under many different situations. Mom may want it, mom may not want it. Adult siblings may agree it's the right thing to do, or they may disagree. And for many people, there's an immediate need to move in right away, while others, there's plenty of time to plan for this in advance.
Yeah, I really, you did a marvelous job of describing that. And as someone who's starting into this process with my folks, you do a really nice job of talking about the complexities of what really is the stakeholder relationships here. Jonathan, it's probably fair to say that an organization like this impacts lots and lots of people, families, residents, and then your associates. Can you talk maybe even a little more specifically about how you went about designing your CX program and the strategy for Brookdale?
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. So Brookdale's been focused on our residents and families since the day we started, which was over 40 years ago. But it really wasn't until 2015 that we formalized it. So we started with a review of a resident and family survey, NPS score, and the direct correlation to key business metrics. And we didn't have to sell in a CX business case to executives. The results, the business opportunities, and the connection with our mission sold itself. So it's at the same time that we also committed to establishing NPS as our key metric. Now, NPS is not right for every category. It is for senior living.
Yeah.
Because senior living, it's an emotional decision and category, and recommendations play a very large role in our business. So that was 2015. Then 2016, we created a CX Center of Excellence, responsible for developing the messaging, the resources, but really more importantly, it serves as an internal consultation model, a resource for field leaders. So we train our internal support teams on what their role is. I work with local field leaders and executive directors such as David to show them what the strengths and opportunity areas are. And then as far as our internal teams as well, we like to say that if you're not serving a resident, then serve someone who is. So I do a lot of training to show them their role in that. At the same time, we also launched Qualtrics, which has really been a game changer for us. It allows our Center of Excellence to consult with with the field leaders. So we go through these great dashboards. It allows the leaders to consult with the executive directors. It allows the executive directors to act on the feedback, which at the end of the day is the most important thing. And at the most global of levels, it allows all the feedback taken into the company, and what we do and how we act on that is the most important thing. So last thing I would mention is that earlier this year, we created a national advisory council that consists of 8 Brookdale residents who provide our senior leaders with constructive, actionable feedback.
Well, it's a very elegant design, and congratulations for what you've been able to do on that journey. And also, very nice lead in to switch over to David, who is one of the executive directors here at one of the 844 properties, Rob and Run. David, could you just tell us a little bit more about the scope and scale of your operation?
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve. So Robin Run Village is an 86-acre continuing care, life care retirement community serving residents in independent living, assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing. And we serve over 600 residents every day. And I see my role on campus is to build and sustain a culture at Robin Run that honors the Brookdale mission, and that's enriching the lives of those we serve with compassion, respect, excellence, and integrity. And additionally, within that framework of culture, build a team that works in partnership with our residents and families to provide opportunities to exceed their expectations every day.
So you said you had 600 residents. About how many associates or employees do you guys have there?
About 380, Steve.
Yeah. So obviously in your role, you're connected with Jonathan, and Jonathan just told us about how he drives change and is with his CX Center of Excellence. Could you just tell us kind of how you interact with Jonathan and what you've observed over the last 3 or 4 years that Jonathan's been putting in this program?
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, myself and my team, we just have to know our residents and have personal connections with them. So a relationship should be one of partnership where you partner together to provide above and beyond experiences. So in our daily services of our residents, what they truly want to know is that their issues are resolved quickly, and they want to feel that the community management cares about them. So by keeping these 2 key drivers in mind that Jonathan educates us about regularly, we'll show our residents that they are our top priority.
That's great. Jonathan, in addition to David's community, you have many, many others. So how do you manage such a large program? I assume you have, like, each property has an individual executive director?
Yeah, that's correct. So every community does have an executive director. And then there's a field leadership model where there's a district leader that has a group of communities under him or her.
Yep.
And then above the district level, there's a regional leader and then a divisional leader. So it's an organizational hierarchy. But because of that and such a large organization, our whole CX thing is really a leader to leader model. With an organization of our size, it really has to be. It's a complete team effort across the organization and it just has to be driven through very strong leaders. And I would say that it starts with our executives at the top who see this not only as a business opportunity, but more importantly, because it's the right thing to do. And it really is a focus for the entire organization. And then, executive directors such as David, he's a great leader and they recognize that this is not a project. And they recognize that feedback is truly a gift because really without it, we don't know how we can improve.
So you provide a dashboard all the way down to the individual property level. So David would have his own insights.
That's exactly right.
And then it would roll up to the field region and then up.
Yeah, it's a hierarchy. It's a hierarchy view, exactly.
Do you have an idea for a topic that you'd like us to cover? A suggestion on how we can improve the program? Or just want to let us know how much you enjoy listening? Email the CX Leader Podcast at podcast@walkerinfo.com. We'd love to hear your feedback on how we're doing. That's podcast@walkerinfo.com.
Well, David, what do you see as the most valuable insights and guidance that you receive from Jonathan and just the whole CX process?
Sure. So, Steve, the most valuable insight I receive is the NPS annual survey report. And that report gives me the ability to review comments from my detractors, my passives, and my promoters on campus. So you see, my goal really is to move everybody up in the model. I want to move my detractors to passives and my passives to promoters and keep my promoters as promoters. So the Jonathan report gives us our top 3 strengths and also our top 3 opportunities for growth. So we take that information and we develop an action plan on campus with my team on how we can address our top strengths and our top opportunities. And then we're going to take that information and we're going to schedule a meeting with our residents on campus and we share those plans with them. And then we get their feedback and their interaction in a transparent fashion. And then in monthly resident meetings thereafter, I will ask my residents, how are we doing on executing the plans of actions that we communicated to you? And they'll communicate openly with me on how we're doing. So to me, that NPS annual survey report is very significant asset that we receive at the community.
Now, Jonathan, we've had the pleasure of working with you over the last couple of years, but so I'm aware that you guys are really making some progress. Is there an example, or could you share, just without any conflict of interest or any trade secrets, but could you just share some of the successes that you've had?
Yeah, definitely. So the first thing I would say is that really on behalf of all of the Brookdale leaders and associates out there, I can tell you that we are so proud that we have increased our Net Promoter Score 26 points since we started measuring it in 2015. In fact, our most recent NPS success was mentioned on our Q2 earnings call on August 6th. So true testament to all the leaders out there. The other metric I would say is that we've significantly decreased our controllable non-death move-outs and issue resolution time. So, like I said before, when people move out in our business, it's usually due to death, but we do have what we call controllable non-death move-outs, and we have significantly decreased those.
Yeah, those are great outcomes. David, at a local level, how do you see the impact on your community? How has it changed, for example, the way your associates operate or the way that the associates interact with your residents?
So this customer experience has made a significant impact on our campus because Our associates, they impact our residents daily, and residents impact us on a daily basis. So really, as I think about the customer experience, there are two direct results that I see that has helped everybody on campus, and one would be a very significant, robust resident referral program. And that comes from, since our resident engagement scores are so high, our residents are happy, they're engaged, and they're willing to refer their friends and their associates to our campus, if you will. So a lot of our resident move-ins come from that resident referral program. And then secondly, a big benefit to us, and Jonathan just talked about it for a second there, is we have very, very low move-outs on our campus. Our residents move throughout our continuum of care, but very, very rarely do we ever have somebody move away from campus. And I attribute those two things back to the customer experience training that we receive here at Brookdale.
My guests this week on the podcast are Jonathan Ruchman and David Pruett, who are both executives at Brookdale Senior Living. Jonathan is the CX leader at the organization, and David runs Robin Run here in Indianapolis, which is one of the larger communities within the whole Brookdale scope of communities across the country. Gentlemen, one of the signatures of the CX Leader podcast is we ask for some take-home value, and really this is to give our listeners something that they can do immediately after listening to the podcast that could improve their focus on their customers or the way that they're deploying their CX programs. David, let me start with you as a senior leader and responsible for an entity. What are your one or two tips that you might use based on your experience for others who maybe aren't quite as far along in the journey as you are?
I will give you two tips that we started several years back that significantly helped us improve our Net Promoter Score and our customer experience here on the campus of Robin Run Village, and that is partnering with our residents every single day, partnering with them in the meetings that we do, the feedback that we receive, so we can make positive change to better serve them on a daily basis. So there are two meetings that we have that our residents are very, very involved and engaged in. One is the Resident Program Forum. That takes place every single month, and we get together with our residents on campus, and we talk about the programming that we do to serve them on a daily basis. And the residents will interactively and transparently tell us what they like about the program, what they don't like about the program, changes they would like to see in the activity schedule, and we take that and we act upon it. So our residents they volunteer highly on our campus, and they lead a lot of our activities. So that has helped resident engagement significantly on our campus. And one other tip I will share with you is a meeting that we do on a monthly basis called our Village Chat. Now, the Village Chat takes courage, and the reason I'm going to tell you that is any resident or any family can attend this meeting, and our residents can share concerns, complaints, compliments, announcements, anything they want to share, and nothing is off limit. So we have a lot of residents come to this meeting, and I go around the room with a microphone, and I'll give it to them, and whatever question they want to ask, they ask. But the real key to that is the residents feel like they have a voice. Their voice is listened to. If somebody's passionate about something, feedback is a gift. I love to hear those things. My team loves to hear those things. And the residents are going to hear an immediate response. We're going to tell them on the spot exactly what we're going to do to help work on, resolve their challenge. And if we don't have an answer, we're going to tell them, you know what, we're going to evaluate that situation and get back with you. And we do. And we put time frames on that. And we publish the meeting minutes and we put out to the residents on campus. So it takes courage, but I can tell you when we first started that meeting on campus years ago, our Net Promoter Score started taking off, and the satisfaction and engagement of our residents started taking off as well. So those are the two tips I would give folks.
Yeah, compliments to you for having the courage to do that. But that is exactly what it means to be customer focused. Is you get out there and you deal with the truth. I think the other thing I've kind of noticed about you, David, is you really do a nice job of combining the data and the formal feedback within within the more informal management by walking around and interacting. So kudos to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
Jonathan, I've known you for a while now. I mean, you really have, you're a visionary CX leader. What are your one or two tips for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So really two pieces of advice here. The first I would say is that from the very beginning, clearly communicate what this is not. And that's the first thing I say when I talk about this in any type of meeting, webinar, or training. I started by saying what this is not. It's not a project, not an initiative. It's not short term. What it is leadership, and it really is a journey with no finish line. Because the thing is, this needs to stand out from everything else that's going on, especially at a big company. There's a lot of projects out there. So how and why is this different than everything else? It's not a project. That's first. The second thing I would say is to identify the one or two drivers of your key metric and focus on that as a company. Really drive and hit home that message everywhere. So don't boil the ocean. There are many things we could focus on. And I'll tell you, David and I did not rehearse this at all. And I was so happy to hear him say the two drivers that he's focused on. We're focused on resolving issues timely and showing that community management cares. And he's done a great job, and his NPS is fantastic, and all the leaders out there. So we're, as an entire company, we're focused on two key drivers. There are a lot of things, like I said, that we could focus on, but by focusing on the top two, it's clear and it really hits home. So,
Jonathan, you did a great job there. The two themes that you hit on are big things for us, and it's something that we've talked about on the podcast almost since day one. One is that CX is not something else to do. It is really, and you can tell from you guys, I mean, it is central to your strategy and your culture. It's not like something else to do. It's what we all do all the time, every day. And then the other one is, you identifying those activities where you can get the most impact, and then really focusing on those as trying to, really going deep on the key impact types of constraints, as opposed to, trying to boil the ocean, as you said. So good job. Really, really
Thank
good.
you.
My guests on the podcast this week have been Jonathan Ruchman, the Senior Director of Customer Experience at Brookdale Senior Living, and David Pruett, the Executive Director of the Robin Run Village Brookdale community here in Indianapolis. Jonathan, David, thank you so much for being a part of our podcast this week. Really enjoyed it.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Steve.
And, one of the things we do on the podcast is if professionals out there are interested in connecting with you, do you guys have a LinkedIn profile you could reference for us real quick?
I do. This is Jonathan Ruchman. I'm on LinkedIn.
And David Pruett, I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Great, thank you. And if you listeners would want to talk to me about anything, please feel free to reach out to me. You can get me at steve.walker@walkerinformation.com or call me here in the U.S. at +1 317 843 8890. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to the CX Leader podcast. You can go to walkerinfo.com/podcasts, and you'll find links to iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and on our own YouTube channel, walkerinfo.tv, to listen. Thank you for listening to the CX Leader podcast, which is a production of Walker. We're an experience management firm that can help you create competitive advantage through your customer experience. And we are also the 2019 Qualtrics CX Partner of the Year. So find out more about all that at walkerinfo.com. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you again next time.